Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Former U.S. Secretary of State Colin Powell has passed away at the age of 84. The former statesman died of complications due to COVID-19. Powell leaves behind an unparalleled legacy in Washington and around the world due to his decades in public service. Chris Wynn has the story.
The world reacting to the death of former Secretary of State Colin Powell, the first African-American and youngest chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and later the first African-American Secretary of State under President George W. Bush.
So I've always felt strongly that you should try to solve conflicts in this world through negotiations, through diplomacy.
Former President Bush releasing a statement Monday saying in part, he was such a favorite of presidents that he earned the Presidential Medal of Freedom twice. He was highly respected at home and abroad. And most important, Colin was a family man and a friend. Powell made headlines in 2008 when the Republican endorsed then Democratic candidate Barack Obama over his friend John McCain. President Joe Biden's Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin also reacting to the loss of his friend.
He always had great counsel. We will certainly miss him. I feel as if I have a hole in my heart just learning of this.
Powell grew up in the Bronx, New York. His parents immigrated from Jamaica. He served 2 tours in Vietnam, rising through the ranks to become a 4-star general. As Secretary of State, he made the case before the UN Security Council in 2003 to invade Iraq based on intelligence that it had weapons of mass destruction. The war lasted more than 8 years. No weapons of mass destruction ever turned up.
I regret it now because the information was wrong.
Powell spent his civilian years empowering youth through his projects.
When I heard their stories, I said, this is where I belong. I'm home again.
Powell died from complications from COVID-19, according to his family. He was 84 years old. In Washington, I'm Chris Wynn.
As more vaccine mandates go into effect, a growing number of police departments are finding themselves at odds with officers. Garrett Tenney has more from Chicago.
The battle over vaccine mandates is heating up with a big focus this week on police. In Chicago, the Friday deadline for officers to get their shots has expired, prompting a memo yesterday threatening discipline or termination for those who don't follow the policy. But the city's police union has urged its members not to report their vaccine status, leading to potential staffing shortages at a time when violent crime is rising across the city.
We're already short. Many officers are either going to quit or engage in some sort of work stoppage rather than disclose their vaccination status.
Police here are now effectively barred from taking time off, a move being echoed by other police departments across the country as mandates go into effect. In Washington, today is the deadline for state troopers to get vaccinated, leading to hundreds of resignations.
It's been nothing but just beating up our fellow employees. Constantly telling them they have to vax, they have to do this, they have to do that.
As the push to get shots in arms intensifies, the feds are also gearing up for a big booster effort. The FDA gave the green light for additional shots from Moderna and Johnson & Johnson, though it's still unclear if people will be able to mix and match with the boosters.
There's going to be a degree of flexibility of what a person who got the J&J originally can do, either with J&J or with the mix and match from other products.
Earlier this month, COVID became the leading cause of death for police officers across the country so far this year. In Chicago, I'm Garrett Tenney, Fox News.
Ready or not, here comes 10-digit dialing. Starting this Sunday, you'll have to dial the 607 area code when making local calls. Big Fox's Matt Kleindienst breaks down what you need to know about the change.
Good evening, Jennifer. After a 6-month-long grace period, all local calls must include the Southern Tier's area code in order to be completed. This comes after the creation of a new national emergency hotline. In less than a week, all local calls in the Southern Tier will be conducted by dialing all 10 digits. This comes as the FCC creates a new national emergency hotline for suicide prevention. A 6-month grace period was introduced to the Southern Tier back in April when the FCC encouraged all residents to begin dialing with 10 digits. After Sunday, calls made without the 607 area code will not go through, and residents will be told to redial. The Southern Tier is one of a dozen area codes in New York affected by the change. Matt Kleindienst, Big Fox, WYDC in Corning.
Elmira police have arrested a man for fatally stabbing a woman early Saturday morning. 31-year-old Stephen Peseski faces charges in the killing of 34-year-old Jennifer Carta. Officers were called to the 900 block of Johnson Street around 1:45 Saturday morning, where they found Carta. Despite giving emergency aid, Carta died at the scene. Police say Peseski left the area but was later arrested by Elmira police. He's charged with second-degree murder. Will problems with the supply chain be fixed by the time you start your holiday shopping? The Transportation Secretary says don't count on it. Lauren Blanchard is in Washington with more on how lawmakers are trying to address the issue.
Already, store shelves and delivery times showing the impacts of the supply chain crunch. The Transportation Secretary is warning the issues we're experiencing already won't let up until sometime next year.
This isn't just a matter of supply. This is a matter of supply and demand.
There's a backup of cargo ships at sea and lack of delivery trucks. Still, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg says people have been able to buy so much because of President Biden's policies.
The president has successfully guided this economy out of the teeth of a terrifying recession.
As consumers start to feel 30-year inflation highs in their wallets, Republicans blame what they call irresponsible government spending.
Democrats are just living in a fantasy world.
This is affecting Americans every single day at the grocery store, at the fuel pump.
Democrats say the combined bipartisan infrastructure bill and Build Back Better bill will address supply chain woes and bring down inflation.
The investments in infrastructure, in the productive capacity of our workforce are going to actually deal with the inflation crisis.
Democrats, though, remain divided on the price tag of the Build Back Better bill and some of the provisions inside. Senator Joe Manchin reportedly wants work requirements for some child tax credits, and there will likely be major disagreements over clean energy items.
They got a train wreck coming. They're not going to get this done in the time frame the president wants.
That timeline, Democrats are facing an end-of-the-month self-imposed deadline to get both bills done. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
The Justice Department is asking the Supreme Court to block a Texas law that bars most abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy while legal challenges play out. The DOJ made the formal request in an emergency application today. According to the department, the law is, quote, clearly unconstitutional. The DOJ says letting it stay in effect would perpetuate the ongoing irreparable injury to thousands of Texas women. The request puts the justices back in the middle of a huge ideological battle. The Texas law is controversial because it bars abortions before many women even know they are pregnant. The High Court will likely issue an order after asking Texas for a response and giving the DOJ an opportunity to reply. Ahmed Arberys' mother is speaking about the highly anticipated murder trial for the 3 men charged with killing her son. Arbery, a black man, was chased and killed while on a jog in a neighborhood near Brunswick, Georgia in February 2020. For Arbery's mother, it's been a long road in hopes of finding justice for her 25-year-old son. She's now speaking about the trial and the emotions leading up to it. Daryl Forges has more.
I'm anxious. I'm all over the place.
Ahmed Arberys' mother, Wanda Cooper Jones, describing her emotions leading up to the trial of 3 men accused of her son's murder, Travis and Greg McMichael and William Bryan.
I'm going to get to find out some information that we didn't know that happened on that day. It's going to be graphic.
It's been a year and 8 months since Arbery was shot and killed while jogging in a neighborhood near Brunswick, Georgia. Cooper Jones says it's been a tough fight for justice.
The DA, she recused herself. She gave it to someone else who held on to it. The one that was holding on to it wasn't returning any phone calls, any emails. Wasn't giving me any type of information about where the investigation was going.
The DA who recused herself, Jackie Johnson, was charged with violating her oath as a public officer and obstructing a police officer. According to an indictment, Johnson allegedly prevented 2 Glenn County officers from arresting Travis McMichael on the day of Arbery's killing. Johnson is also accused of showing favor and affection to Greg McMichael, who used to work at the DA's office. Johnson denies any wrongdoing. The 3 men were arrested in May of last year and pleaded not guilty to all charges they're facing.
It's been really a long, hard road, but I'm thankful that I will be there. Every day his name is called in court, I will be there.
I'm Daryl Forges reporting.
The former GM of the Red Lobster in Horseheads is suing the company for discrimination. According to the lawsuit, McQuell Fountain alleges she faced racist and sexist harassment leading up to her firing in January. Fountain says despite filing complaints about racist abuse from customers, other managers ignored her. The lawsuit includes 11 counts of violation of state and federal laws. Fountain is seeking $5 million per count. Still ahead tonight, it's a leading cause of preventable death in the U.S. New CDC research shows binge drinking is a big problem for many Americans.
Given the incredible stress that our nation is under during this health crisis, likely these numbers would be worse if collected today.
Hear from addiction specialists about what you can do to cut back on alcohol consumption.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Tonight's Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Attar. Good evening, everyone. It was a great start to our day. Quiet weather, maybe a little bit on the chilly side. Temperatures today running about 4 to 5 degrees cooler in Wayland, around 6 degrees cooler in Corning, about 7 in Elmira, and in Hornell about 5 degrees cooler than this time yesterday. We are expecting plenty of sunshine for your Tuesday as well as Wednesday. It's going to be pretty quiet days. And because of the sunshine, that will help to really warm us up. We're expecting a warming trend through the middle of the week, and then a disturbance comes in and it will bring the possibility of wet weather back into our forecast as we head into your Thursday. But in the meantime, high pressure will keep us dry, keeping the sunshine around for your Tuesday as well as Wednesday. So again, it is going to be a quiet day, a great day to get any yard work done. If you're like me, you have a lot of leaves in the yard, and so we are going to definitely have to really rake them up. Temperatures, though, a little bit chilly as we start off the day. 50 degrees at 9 o'clock, 64, though, by lunchtime. We'll be in the upper 60s and lower 70s, I think, in the afternoon for some of our hometowns, and then we drop back down to around 64 degrees at 5 o'clock in the evening. But we have another disturbance coming in Wednesday night into Thursday, so there will be a few showers that will be heading our way on Thursday. Behind it, cooler air will start to sink down, and so that's going to really knock those temperatures down as we head toward the end of the week. So right now we have very dry air. Our dew points have been in the 30s. That's almost like winter air. But then as we head into the next couple of days for Tuesday to Wednesday, it looks like those dew points climb into the 40s and then into the 50s on Thursday, out ahead of that next cold front. But then that cold front comes through and the dry air will be back for the weekend. And so expect more dry air. You're probably going to need that lotion by the weekend. So our feature radar is showing just a few isolated showers off to our east for tonight. It looks like most of us will stay dry through tomorrow, but then on Wednesday, I think we'll enjoy plenty of sunshine, quiet weather once again, but by the end of the day, I think clouds will start to try to move in, and then on Thursday, there will be a few showers pushing in by the afternoon. So we are expecting it's going to be umbrella weather by the end of the day on Thursday. But here's a look at your forecast for tonight. I think we'll stay dry. Lows around 40 degrees. Clouds will be clearing away. For tomorrow, look for highs around 69 degrees, mostly sunny. It will be breezy, but at least it will be a little bit warmer. Your extended forecast calls for temperatures that will actually warm up out ahead of our next cold front. It looks like we could climb into the 70s through your Thursday, and then those temperatures will be dropping. Take a look at these highs. We only top out in the 50s by the end of the week.
It's a leading cause of preventable death in the U.S., and new CDC data shows that binge drinking is a big problem for many Americans. Excessive alcohol use kills more than 95,000 Americans every year. Mandy Gaither has a look at the numbers in today's Health Minute.
Alarming research into a serious problem.
Excessive alcohol use is a leading preventable cause of death and disease in the U.S.
Marissa Esser is one of the authors of a recent report by the CDC which looked at binge drinking in 2018, defined as 4 or more drinks on one occasion for women and 5 or more for men. Researchers found 1 in 6 U.S. adults reported binge drinking during the past 30 days. 25% of those reported doing it at least weekly, and 25% also said they had at least 8 drinks at a time.
This is a very risky pattern of drinking that can increase the risk of harms such as chronic conditions including cancer, heart disease, liver disease, alcohol use disorder, as well as the short-term effects such as the injuries and violence and alcohol poisoning and other drug overdoses as well.
The pandemic may have worsened the problem.
Given the incredible stress that our nation is under during this health crisis, likely these numbers would be worse if collected today.
Dr. Trent Hall is an addiction medicine specialist at Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center. He says get help if you're using alcohol because of depression or another illness. You can also set a goal to cut back on drinking, seek accountability from friends and family, and if you do consume alcohol, Hall says to space out drinks.
Have an alcoholic beverage followed by a non-alcoholic beverage, essentially cut your drinking in half in that way.
The John Deere strike entering its 5th day Monday, with about 10,000 members of the United Auto Workers Union walking off the job after rejecting a wage deal. And now some business owners across Iowa are supporting those union workers. Brian Tabuk has more.
John Deere workers are getting support on the picket lines as their strike went through the weekend. The local 238 Teamsters in Cedar Rapids joined them Saturday.
They need to treat the workers fairly. It's the workers that keep the products moving out of this plant. It's the workers that keep the money rolling into their corporate coffers.
The support wasn't all at the picket lines. Some businesses throughout Iowa are offering discounts to employees. The restaurant owner Moe's One More in Washburn is giving John Deere employees 25% off dinner in a sign of solidarity.
We got a lot of Deere workers that are customers, and they support us, so we like to support them at their trying times.
Owner Danny Nissen says the business has been slower with John Deere on strike, but they still want to help where they can.
We've seen business go down a little bit this week, so like I say, we just need to support them just like everybody else. We've always supported them. We're going to continue to do that.
Some Quad City businesses are also extending a helping hand to employees out of work while contract negotiations continue.
We just felt like we needed to help out a little bit and show them that we were going to support them. My husband is a union worker. A lot of these union workers have supported me throughout the years, so thought it'd be good to give back a little bit and show them that we support them.
It's a showing of unity for union workers.
One day after a Pennsylvania teacher has surgery to remove a brain tumor, she hops on Facebook Live to read a bedtime story. But as Shannon Perrine reports, she had another important mission in mind.
And I love cereal with super cold milk. You open up your bowl, you pour on your milk, and you've got an easy peasy breakfast.
Mrs. Katie Mucci on the Franklin Bedtime Stories page last year. Fast forward to Wednesday night.
I'm sorry if I look a little weird. I know I look a little weird. Got this black eye going right here because, again, they cut open my head like right here to take out my brain tumor.
When she went to the hospital, she made sure to pack a library book.
So, of course, I packed a book. I knew I would be here on Thursday night, so I packed a book to the library, right?
Mr. Walker Steps Out by author Lisa Graff is about a crossing guard.
He helped her across the street. Wow, Mr. Walker's brave, isn't he? Strong and brave. That's what I always tell my kids. Be strong and brave and do the next right thing.
As she pauses to greet new kids logging on to the bedtime story.
Hi, Kat!
They learn that Mr. Walker is not at his corner.
Have you ever felt that way? That you could maybe just get away and do something different? I know I've felt that way before, especially when I'm in the hospital.
Just like Mr. Walker, Mrs. Mucci says she won't be gone long, and she'll be back to her old self again.
Don't worry, friends. I'll make it back to my corner, too. You don't have to worry about that, because my corner is right where I belong at Ben Franklin Elementary in room 25 with my friends and Mucci's crew.
Yes, this story is about each person's value.
Because he knew that he was an important part of it all. Just like you are, my friends. You are an important part of our school community. You're an important part of our world. You are loved.
Katie Mucci's motivation for going live on Facebook one day after brain surgery.
Most importantly, I wanted to see that I'm okay. I look a little funky, but I wanted you to see and know that I'm okay.
To send a message to her students about their value to her.
And I just want you to know that I love you, and I miss you, and I know you're going to have a great day tomorrow, strong and brave, and I'm proud of you, Ben Franklin. So you have a good night. I love you, mwah, and I'll see you soon, friends.
Scientists have found evidence of water in the atmosphere of Jupiter's icy moon, Europa. NASA says its Hubble Space Telescope observed the presence of persistent water vapor over a large area of Europa's atmosphere. Interestingly, the water vapor was only present in one hemisphere. It's unknown why that is the case. Researchers used Hubble's ultraviolet imaging to make this discovery. A pumpkin harvest in central Minnesota proves there's plenty of hope for our future. Liz Collin met a young man named Emmett and found his gourds are no match for the size of his heart.
It's a big one, too small. They match, don't they?
Like any good country boy, 5-year-old Emmett Cox is proud of his crop.
$4.
That could tell you how much one costs to take home.
$5.
But what began as some father-son bonding last year has grown into something more.
Him and his dad are both farm boys through and through.
Their patch last season produced some 200 pumpkins, so many they weren't sure what to do with them all.
We thought maybe this would be an opportunity for Emmett to learn how to, make his own money and manage funds.
An honor system they set up on the side of the road.
Every night he was excited to go out and check the box and put the money in his jar.
$400 later and some teaching at home about how money can be used to help others.
He had mentioned his pumpkin money, and I said, well, if you want to donate some of it, that's perfectly fine. And right away he said, nope, I'm going to donate it all.
He did, to Toys for Tots.
He got to do a little bit of a shopping spree and filled this cart.
For a 5-year-old to understand helping people, it's amazing.
Friends and neighbors were back again this fall to pitch in.
We didn't get very much this year.
Even if the crop wasn't as plentiful. As any good country boy knows his weather patterns.
Some of the seeds did not grow. Not much rain.
Still a successful harvest where it matters most.
If a 5-year-old can put others before himself, maybe we all can.
We want to leave you with a smile tonight. 31 turtles saved from animal traffickers are released back into the wild in Colombia. The adult green sea turtles were seized by Army officials last week in a rural area in the country's northern state. Those remaining were examined by veterinarians and returned to the Colombian Caribbean. 5 people were arrested for animal trafficking in connection with this incident. The World Wildlife Fund says almost all sea turtles are considered endangered, with 3 of them being classified as critically endangered. From our whole team, thank you for joining us. We hope you have a great night.